I'd like to welcome all of you to our first class period today. These videos I will put together for each lesson, unless it's a lab day, as a way to help you navigate through the resources or review resources, a way to synthesize the lesson if you are unable to attend class on a particular day. So hopefully they're valuable for you and will help you be more successful. As a first day of class, there's always some housekeeping things we need to do. On this slide, you'll notice a link to a video that the Concurrent Enrollment Office at Salt Lake Community College would like you to watch. It's the same one that we watched in 1010, but it's only 3 minutes long. So one of the administrators walks you through how a college class is different than a high school class. And so I suggest you pause this video and watch it. The other thing you'll see on this slide are some handouts that we will be passing out in class today. The first one will be the disclosure. You'll need to return the back page to me by the end of next week. I will give everyone a unit syllabus that goes over day-to-day instructions with readings and homework assignments, and also how to register for the class. And then we'll kind of talk about how this class is different from English 1010. So on this slide, you'll see the course registration numbers. Write down the one that matches the class period that you are enrolled in English 2010. And there are 2 resources that I have uploaded to today's lesson that will walk you through, again, how to register for a course, how to make sure that you are in the class. So take care of that, again, by the end of next week. Remember, if you have not paid your dues for a previous concurrent class, the system will not allow you to register. So remember, it's $15 for this class or $5 per credit hour for any Salt Lake Community course. That money, again, is paid directly to the college online, not through me or through the Harriman office. In 2010, the course is broken into 5 units, and the weight of each of those units will be on your disclosure. But you can see that all of them talk about ways that we can use writing purposefully to bring about change to the world that we live in. The types of writing that you will be doing this semester, broken into 3 major types: public writing, writing from sources, and multimedia. And you can see some examples of them on this slide. The rationale for 2010 centers around the idea that we live in a world in which many things are rather than they should be. And the only way we can get to the way things should be is for all of us to do our part to make the world a better place. Hopefully in this class, you learn to develop more empathy for others who do not have the same opportunities that you do in lots of different ways. We'll be talking about those quite often as part of social issues. To illustrate, or to start off, we're going to talk about today in class the Harriman High School mission statement, finding out what our primary purpose is at Harriman and whether or not we live up to this statement of our purpose. Most large corporations or businesses have mission statements like the one we had on the previous page. And in lots of corporations in management training, they will figure out how they can go about achieving what's on their mission statement. And so one way to do that is to think about the old cliche, the elephant in the room. So educators have started to do the same thing. They've looked at education or classrooms or school systems and said, what isn't working quite the way we want things to work. You can do the same thing by replacing school with the words neighborhood, community, organizations, your office, or whatever organization group that you are a part of. To illustrate this idea of elephant in the room, we're going to watch a couple of video clips in class from one of my favorite movies. It's entitled Finding Forrester, a couple decades old, but in this movie, there is a young man. He has received a scholarship to go to a private prep school, and the scholarship's because he is a really good athlete. He walks into his English class the first day, and he doesn't quite jive with the teacher who is running the class. As a result, from the first video clip, the young man is sent out of the classroom, and the teacher won't let him back in. So Sean Connery's character is a former teacher who has now retired, who becomes a mentor to this young man. And so watch both of the video clips and talk about or think about what elephant existed in this school. So whatever group we are a part of, hopefully rather than just recognizing problems, we want to be a part of the solution to problems, resolution, or possibilities of how our world can be better. And to do that, we have to think strategic. And so to illustrate that, I want to talk about the idea of writing over the last 50 years. So when I was a little kid in elementary school, usually writing would mean that the teacher would give us a topic the first of the week, and by the end of the week, we would turn something in. The same thing happened in junior high and high school for me. So it was called Weekly Themes. And I was a part of that in the 70s as well. When I began teaching in the 80s, mid part of the 80s, writing took on a different turn. And so rather than being started on Monday, turned in on Friday, they moved into a writing process. And I went to a lot of workshops, summer workshops, weekend workshops all the time on writing process and how to teach writing better that way. And I bet a lot of you have had some lessons from your teachers along the way talking about writing process. In the last 10 years, however, there's been a big shift in writing, and we've not moved away from writing process, but we focus more on the rhetorical method of writing, where we think what's our purpose, who's our audience, a lot of what we talked about in 1010. Each of those strategies have created given us better tools to teach writing and hopefully for you to learn how to be a better writer. So with that idea of becoming strategic, there's a little illustration. I want you in your mind to think of how many squares there are. And it's not that important to come up with the answer to the squares, but to come up with a strategy of how to solve the number of squares that are there. So pause the video, try to think of a way that you can figure out how many squares are in this graphic that's on the screen. After you've done that, you can cheat and find the answer at the bottom of the slide. Hopefully by now, since you've all survived English 1010, you have learned something about yourself and how you have become a better writer. I know in my last class period, last week, I had each of the students, when they were sharing their e-portfolios, share what they've learned about themselves as writers and how their writing became better. So in this class, we're not going to talk more about theories of how to become better writers, because hopefully by now you've learned a few on your own of ways to become better writers. But we're going to think of the strategies that worked and just apply them on our own. So most of this class will not be learning how to write, but giving you opportunities to actually think about your own strategies and write. And to do that, you're always going to choose your writing tasks around one issue that's meaningful to you. So over the next couple of weeks, by the end of, or beginning of the third week, each of you need to have a social issue that you're going to use throughout the entire semester. I want it to be more than one that you just talk about in your health class or your history class. Really start looking in newspapers or watching news programs and learning about what is out there, so that we, in this classroom, we have all different topics rather than anyone having the same topic. So to illustrate it, for the first couple of class periods, I'm going to demonstrate some types of issues that you could choose from. This one is an issue that has kind of been out there for a few years, but really turned into a big news story in the last year. So in 2018, there was an article that was published in the Atlantic magazine where it talked about colleges are looking at other ways to choose people who get to go to their college or who are admitted into their college, not just by their grade point average or the ACT or SAT. So they're looking at other things. And because they're looking at other things, a lot of parents who have want a lot of control and want to gear their kids into prestigious universities have done somewhat, we've all learned now, some unethical things to get their kids into those colleges. So read the article, and then also on that, as you click on the article, there is a video at the bottom that will review what's happened to some of these scandals relating to that social issue. So that is one topic of a social issue that could be a little bit different, but yet meaningful to write about this semester. Another one began a few years ago at BYU. I graduated from BYU, and they have an honor code. And there were 3 young ladies who were doing an internship with the Salt Lake Tribune back in 2016. And one of these young ladies heard of a young girl, her picture's on this screen, who was sexually assaulted. And when she went to the authorities, she found her in kind of the middle of an honor code violation with BYU. And she kept thinking, this isn't fair. So these 3 aspiring journalists got a hold of this story and wrote it. And I remember reading it. It was a full-page story in the Salt Lake Tribune. And keep in mind, these are college students, not professional journalists. So they wrote this story that they ended up winning a Pulitzer Prize, which is a national award for outstanding journalism that bring about change. And usually they're going up against professional writers. So these students won it. Anyway, when they did, it triggered about, I want to show you the next few slides, but all these other articles, these were just a few of the articles in 2016 that were spin-offs of their work. And then it continued on in 2017 with what was happening because of this original article. And even in 2018, it was out there. And even in 2019, there's still some change that has happened because of these 3 young girls' original story. On this slide, I want you to look at click here. It takes you to BYU's honor code for sexual assault page. This is different now than what it was in 2016. So it was because of a writing assignment that brought about change to an entire university. Pretty amazing story. So for your homework, between now and Monday when I see you again, I want you to do 2 things. Read, first of all, the article from David Brooks from the New York Times, The Neighborhood is the Unit of Change. And from that, after reading the article, think strategically about an example of writing that has brought about change to either a small portion of the world or a larger world. And just know that we're going to treat this like a show and tell on next Monday. So you're not just going to show me your phone because you won't be able to leave it. You need a hard copy Choose it wisely. Be ready to share with the rest of your class. Thank you.